Hey everybody, happy Wednesday. So today we will be doing video 3 on chatting with Ian, and this one is based on what you should eat, like to stay healthy and that kind of thing. So hope you guys enjoy. Keep an eye out for all our videos to come, and we'll see you next week.
Okay, so Ian, one of my big
You're trying to laugh every
questions
single time. It's perfect. I love it. Keep going. Go.
is, when I was younger, I could eat, a lot of things.
Garbage.
And it
Garbage.
came
Yeah.
off pretty easily. But I found, since having kids and whatnot, I can't eat like that anymore. I have to put a lot more work into
What you're eating and your diet and watching what you're eating.
and exercising.
Yeah. We've talked about this in the past, and it's something that I mentioned to a lot of people. It's with adulthood coming along. I mean, if we take a young 20s female who is in university and is partying lots and out dancing and hanging out with friends and on rec team sports, and she's moving all the time. She's going to classes, she's up, she's down, she's moving, right? Whereas as soon as that person leaves university and enters the workforce and sits down, most girls, most guys as well, will comment on the fact that the lifestyle change means they gain a lot of weight. Despite the fact they might not be changing the way they're eating, and they were probably living less healthy then, the fact that they're moving less and sitting more is a drastic change in terms of how their body responds to food, right? So a lot of people say, oh, well, as you age, your metabolism slows down, you have to change your diet. And I'm more and more of the opinion that it's the lifestyle changes that occur as we get older that are really sort of the source of the issue. So you take a pre-mum and a post-mum, so someone who's got time for themselves, gets lots of sleep, has control of their diet, has a sex life, goes, and can take the time for themselves, right? Goes out every now and then, can play sports, has space. And then you add in a child where you don't sleep and you eat standing up over the sink hurriedly as fast as you can, and wondering whether the kid's going to yell, and then you go try and sleep when you can, and things are frantic, and your life begins to revolve around this other being, which is totally valid. I mean, it's a kid, right? I mean, it's your kid. You care about them. You want them to grow and be healthy. But because of this drastic lifestyle shift, you lose control over so many elements of what you have that makes you healthy, right? So if we could say that you can control your diet and your exercise, but sleep and time to yourself and stress levels are just going out the window, right? I mean, if your kid's crying at night, you can't hit them in the face and tell them to go back to bed, regardless of me recommending that. I mean, the chloroform, the ether jokes, they're great, but I mean, you can't root for your own kids, right? So
don't take Ian's advice.
Listen, I don't have kids. That's
parenting.
obvious, horrible idea. But the stress of having children and the lack of sleep that's going to come with it is out of your control. But the dietary elements and the exercise elements are these areas where you can have control. So if we're saying it's the lifestyle changes that are causing the imbalance, that's making it harder to keep weight off or be healthier, keep better body comp, you've got to really manage these two areas you can control. And for a person who's trapped in a house with a screaming child, the diet element is probably the easiest one to manage. Exercise being the second, right? So if you can find that space to exercise in the day when the kid's napping or whenever you can find that time, it's great, right? But diet is the element which you can both influence the child's upbringing and keep yourself in way better shape. That's why I'm always whinging about diet.
Yeah.
So that'd be my lifestyle response on why that change happens.
Do you have examples of what you should eat?
I usually recommend that you have a large beer diet, that you eat a lot of chocolate and largely binge on ice cream. No, I wouldn't say a paleo diet just because it's got a buzzword that it's got some bad stigma around it, but I would argue that most people should look at increasing vegetable intake. I mean, get a lot of veggies, as obvious as that seems to sound, and eat a decent amount of meat.
It doesn't matter if the veggies are cooked or raw.
At the end of the day, I mean, I've got a buddy of mine, he's a bit of an idiot, but I mean, his big thing is keep it simple, stupid, right? I mean, this man is not clever, and he's big on the stance that if you can, at the beginning, why worry about complicated issues when the issue is just eat well, right? So if we boil it down to you should be getting a lot of veggies and a decent amount of meat, and we should try to avoid a lot of sugars, which spike insulin levels, play with your cortisol and your hormones and all that stuff, but minimizing sugars and foods we know we shouldn't be eating, then
the processed
foods, the packaged
cereals,
stuff, things that come in packages, things that have been sprayed down with more pesticides than we can imagine, fruit out of season, if we can focus on eating foods that are largely more nutritionally dense and have a lot of the essential fats and proteins we need, we're going to walk away more healthy, more satiated, feeling better about ourselves. So the paleo model of saying, let's minimize grains, let's minimize pastas, empty calories, carbohydrates, and focus more on getting our nutrient-dense foods, our vegetables, our meats, and then worry about the rest of it. It's a good way to start, right? I find that if you're eating well and you're creating the space to eat meals and getting them in you and making simple meals that taste good, you're going to be far less likely to be craving food.
Okay. So what's good like for snacks? Because I know like
Yeah.
for women that are nursing after having a baby, like I remember I was starving all the time.
Mainly beer. No, but like snacks is a tough one, right? I mean, like because we get sugar cravings, we get salt cravings. Some go-tos. I love things like a guacamole or like avocados with sea salt. You're allowed to put salt on food. It's just totally fine as long as you're getting a decent amount of water. I encourage things like salsa. Surprisingly enough, I mean, it's got some sulfite and stuff, but you make it yourself. Again, salsas and guacamoles. Not a horrible thing to have with vegetables. Tastes pretty good. Jerkies, again, meat, proteins. You're going to satiate a lot better than a bag of chips.
Mm-hmm.
You eat a bag of chips, and 30 minutes later, you're going to be starving again, right? Whereas you sit down and have some actual protein and fat, you feel pretty good after it. There's always the debate around, do you have lentils? But if you pre-soak lentils or legumes, you make pretty good hummus. Vegetables, things that work well in that regime, right? That really ups your amount of vegetable intake. I'm a huge fan of.
Okay.
Fruit on occasion. I mean, if you got a salt craving, have a banana, have an apple, have some dates. This would be a far better response than saying, oh, I'll have an entire pint of ice cream. Why can't I lose this weight? It's so strange. I feel so bloated. It's weird how beer ice cream floats don't work too well for me losing weight on any way whatsoever. So that'd be that. Food wise, yeah, it's look at a lot of the information out there. There's a lot of good material, but focus on eating the foods we need to be getting first. Focus on vegetables and meats and move forward. A lot of the material out there these days bunking red meats and stuff is cancer causing. It's a myth. It's a larger question and debate, but I would look at that kind of stuff.
Okay, so like some dairy, is that okay? Like eggs and
Dairy. Well, is eggs dairy? Eggs, poultry. That's not dairy. It's not coming from a cow. Yes, eggs are awesome. I love eggs. Eggs is actually my go-to. I love a good quality egg, like an omelet, quiches. They're both really easy to make. Scrambles, if you like the texture of eggs. I am more okay with a hard aged cheese than I am with a soft cheese, as your lactose tolerant. Your amount of lactose in cheese goes down as the age increases. So, an older cheese and a harder cheese would be better for you in that sense.
okay.
I'd avoid milk. It's nasty what they do to it. That's all.